name is Gary Farlow. Retired now, was with the Chamber of Commerce in Bradley County. I was on the original coordinating committee of Thrive 2055, and then I was an original board member, and I was also chairman of the Economic Development Initiative. So what was life like before Thrive? Mostly, it was a region where the communities didn't communicate a lot. But you were dealing with different state lines. We're right in the corner of the state of Tennessee, so you had Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee, and a lot of regional issues, but not a lot of regional communications about those issues. So with Thrive, that was where that conversation began, was looking at what are the issues in the region. First thing we had to do was start saying, okay, how do we create an organization, one that we can all trust, that's going to represent all of our interests, not just Chattanooga's or not just Cleveland's or Dalton's or the other communities. We also had to talk about what are the resources that all those different communities have. So there was a lot of differences in how all of us operated individually. But what we finally came to realize through all of those discussions was that there were strengths in numbers. When you go to speak to a company and you go to them as a region, it has an impact. And when we went in and sat down with some of these companies, and we said, we're the Thrive region, but the companies were blown away. They said, wait a minute, you're in different communities, and yet you're all here talking as a group? And we said, yes. You've got kind of a one-stop shop. You can find out about land in 16 counties in 3 states in this region. You can look at education systems, labor, all of those things that they want. You can go to one place and we've got people that we can refer you to kind of help solve all of your problems if you're a company trying to come here for the first time. For new trustees, I guess advice would be, one, keep an open mind, because there's a lot of diversity of things that Thrive is. Be prepared to learn new things and be open to learning new things and learning where do you fit into that. And it may not be necessarily what you started out thinking you were going to be on this board. And also to think beyond your individual community. It's a region. It's not just, you're not just representing one community, you're representing a region. You need to bring that community perspective because that's important in what makes this a region. But at the same time, you have to kind of set aside kind of parochial thinking and thinking, okay, yes, we're one community in this 16 county region, but we're also part of a greater region and we have something to say.
I'm Daniel Carter, and I've been a part of Thrive for the last 10 years, serving as chair of the Natural Treasures Initiative, and now today the Natural Treasures Alliance, and here I'm still here today. So Thrive has given people a voice that otherwise wouldn't have a voice. In the past, we've relied on our local government leaders solely to make decisions for the region, things that might have broader impact, but Thrive has created a process and a structure in which people with passion, people with knowledge can come together and look at big picture ideas that don't just happen within a city or within a county, but it happens in the region. We recognize that the talent and the knowledge and the people are out there, and it's not our jobs at Thrive to actually do the project. What we've realized is we just need to bring people together. Over and over we've done this, and it's really fascinating to watch. Conservation is, it's kind of like economic development or anything else. You've got all these individual pieces that are working towards a common goal, but they're not really working together. In this case, they're land trust. There are user groups like mountain biking organizations. There are so many people with so much passion that want to protect the natural environment, and everybody's doing it on an individual level, and they do a wonderful job. But what about if we could bring everybody together? And so this is when I'm going to have to steal a metaphor, which I find very appropriate for most of what Thrive does, and it's kind of like leading an elephant with a rubber band. Here's my bit of advice for new trustees. When you see somebody come in that has a passion, that's smart, and they're doing things out in their community, bring them into the group. Those are the people that are. There's too many people get asked to serve on boards, and they're asked to serve on boards because maybe they're the president of this, or they're they own this. Those aren't your board members. Your board members are your people that are in the grassroots doing the work, right? And so I think we've done a good job of continuing to keep our board fresh. I love the fact that I have the opportunity now after 10 years to finally roll off and let new people come in. Yeah, I mean, one memory of Thrive, and there are many. So we go down to the South Pittsburgh football field in my home county, and sure enough, there's this bird with a forked tail, and Dan goes, "That's the scissor-tailed flycatcher." And I go, "I've never even heard of it." He said, "It's the state bird of Oklahoma, and they're not even supposed to live here, right? But you've had this nesting pair that lives here." And I'm like, "How do you know that?" He goes, "All the birders know it." And I'm like, it is a classic sort of Thrive story in the sense that, Dan, who's from Chattanooga, who's an avid birder, knows all about Marion County, right? But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
My name's Bradham. I started at the Chamber in Chattanooga in 2010, summer 2010. So Tom Ed Wilson was my boss back then, and he assigned myself, Cheryl Millsaps, and Jed Marston to create a regional collaborative. And he didn't really give us any guidelines. He just said, "Go do it." And I'll add this, this is just a personal note, but it's so great to see something that you help birth become so successful. That's very rewarding to me personally. So there was a banquet we had, and I can't remember what year it was. Obviously pre-COVID, at the convention center in Chattanooga, and there were probably 400 people in the room. I was on stage doing a tribute to Tom Ed. He had just passed away, and looking out and seeing those people who were all invested in Thrive, I was thinking, we did something great here. I mean, it took us a long time to get everybody on the same page about doing this. And the day that it finally came together and everybody said, "We're in," I mean, that was one of the best days of my life. Leave your self-interest at the door. In the case of Thrive, think regionally, think about what's best for all of us collectively. Not just what's best for Dalton or Cleveland or Chattanooga, but what benefits the entire region.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Millsaps. I'm COO of the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber was one of the founding partners of Thrive 2055, the original planning exercise. Since that time, I became a part of the executive committee, and then as we considered rolling out Thrive Regional Partnership as a standalone organization, I had the honor of being one of the founding trustees. So what we learned through some of the collaborations that the Chamber was able to build is that there had to be trust. That meant that you had to keep your word. You had to always ask, who is the voice that's not represented around the table? Who do we need to invite next time? We did that at the end of every meeting that we had. So that's how we grew, not just a bigger circle, we built a bigger table. 40 years from now, I doubt seriously that I will still be around. But what I hope for in the meantime is that I will see progress that happens, and that I will know I was at the table when we had that idea. When we first discussed that, I was there, and we bounced around all of the different alternatives, and we chose a path forward and knew that we were doing it for the right reasons, which was to leave that legacy for our children. I have always said that I don't care whether my name is associated to anything. It's knowing that my children are growing up in a place that's going to have clean water, that's going to have clean air, that's going to have good education, they're going to have good jobs. And they're doing it because a lot of people were very intentional about the direction they wanted this place we call home to go. To have an opportunity to do something that was both good for Chattanooga, it was good for the organization that I worked for, it was good for the community that I live in, but to also extend that to the area where I grew up and where my heart is, and to the other people who live in the other counties around us, to be able to have that vision of that being something that I could do, and to do it as a person who is a volunteer essentially, because it was a passion for me. That was really important to me, to make a difference. It's always for me been about making a difference.
I'm Dan Jacobson, chairman of the Thrive 2055 project and the Thrive Regional Partnership. Travel is wonderful, seeing new places, learning new cultures, hearing different languages. I've done that all my life. But the beauty of travel is coming home, coming back to the region, to the place where I've been since I was 6. Serving in several capacities during the early years of Thrive 2055 on behalf of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, which was a founding investor in Thrive, has truly been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my lifetime. So, serving in the role of chair of the coordinating committee during the transition phase from project to nonprofit organization was a bit challenging. I must say I've never done anything like that in many years of doing a lot of different things. There were many aha moments during those early years. For me, many of these were during our visits with all 16 county mayors and many of the municipal mayors as well. These face-to-face conversations were crucial in building trust and forging strong relationships across our region. Again, we all kept our eyes on the goal. We had a fairly good idea of what we wanted this organization to be. We wanted it to be lean. We wanted it to be dynamic. We wanted it to be goals and results focused. And keeping those goals and objectives in mind, I think we were able to work through it and achieve great success. In closing, as was my practice with our coordinating committee meetings, I'd like to share a quote that fed us energy and optimism and provided inspiration. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. The whole burrito supreme. This is the burrito supreme of my Thrive experience. You want my social security number and my credit card?
Yeah, actually.
I thought you would. Am I done?
You didn't have to read it.
Am I done? Can I go watch birds?
My name is Bruz Clark, and my involvement with Thrive has been on several fronts. I was a member of the Founders Committee, a member of the Coordinating Committee, a member of the Executive Committee, and I currently serve on the Natural Treasures Committee. One of the earlier products of the Natural Treasures Task Force was the Watershed Moment Map, and I hand these out all the time. I actually brought one with me today. It is not only a great resource to identify fun and interesting places to go, but it does point to the natural treasures that we have in the region and the significance of those places. It is not only colorful, but it also identifies the priority areas where the Natural Treasures team is working, ranging from freshwater ecology to working landscapes and several other areas in between. When we hand these out, people are thrilled to have them. They really, to a large extent, don't know what's in their own backyard. And I've heard several people say, "You mean I've been traveling to the Great Smokies all these years when I could have run up to the walls of Jericho or hiked the Fiery Gizzard Trail?" And I just think that's evidence of the importance of the tool that we have created to educate ourselves and others who are not from our region about the place that we live in and how special it is. If I had any words of wisdom or advice to give to new trustees and people who are joining Thrive for the first time, it would be to get to know your backyard. I cannot overstate how much enjoyment and pleasure my wife and I have gotten from traveling around the various counties to visit the remarkable natural sites that exist, and also the cultural attractions and some of the mom and pop restaurants and bars that are out there. So again, I would offer the challenge of setting aside one day a month for the next 16 months to go to all 16 counties to learn about the assets and sites that are there and familiarize yourself with this place that we call home. You know, when we look out 40 years, I will incite the vision for our region that Lyndhurst has for the region, and that is that we imagine a greater Chattanooga region where people and nature prosper. It's that simple. If I live that long, I will be 95 in 2055. And I'm hopeful that the contributions that I have made and my colleagues have made from throughout the region will lead to something that's greater than we have now and will obviously outlive us all in a very special way.